What's your name? What's your name, by the way?
My name is they call me Glassford.
Glassford. Okay, it's right there. Okay, you're Glassford, and then that's Paul. Okay. All
I go by
right.
You don't really care for that name.
nah.
Oh no.
I go by some of my government out there.
I deal with Prince.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Cool. All right. That's good.
Well, we got up to a rocky start, but we have a very special guest with us. His full name is Dominic. Apparently, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, man. Just pretty much go by Dom. I don't know if I have the full government out there. I don't know if it's on the Instagram or
I
Twitter or
see
whatever,
it.
but
It's Dominic Willis.
yeah. Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, you see it. Yeah, you see it. But yeah, man. Dom2k on all platforms, pretty much Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. I don't use Facebook no more. Facebook. I aged out of the Facebook game. But yeah, man. Excited to be here. Definitely.
So, explain to the people who you are and what you do for those that don't know.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, I am gosh, these days I'm a lot of things. So I started off as just being a YouTuber, NBA YouTuber back in really 2013, but for most people who know me, it was like 2016, making NBA videos. Since then, I had a second channel where I was doing 2K. It's now pretty much just a podcast channel. These days, I work with the actual NBA, so that's something that worked with that started pretty much this season. So I do a lot of Twitch streams for them. Sometimes I'm in Twitter Spaces, and then I do work with the 2K League as well. So last season was my first season working with them. I got to travel a good bit because of them and do some live commentary. And I'm probably going to be working with them again this year. They're going to have a neutral location, which they didn't have. It was virtual last year. So I assume I'll probably be doing some work in Indiana or something like that. But yeah, so still do YouTube, but it's grown quite a bit since I really got going like 6 years ago almost now.
Got you.
You said you started 2013,
Yeah, that was the official start in 2013.
so it took you about 3 years to like really pop off.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely random for everybody. But what happened then, I started at the very end of 2013. I don't know if the video was there anymore because it might have got copyrighted. But I had a video that I posted at the very end of 2013. I was just doing like 2K mixes at that time. I was just learning how to make videos. I was just screwing around. So I was posting, and then I started making 2K series, and it was like off and on because I was in college at the same time too. So trying to start a YouTube channel at the same time I was in college, that was reckless. But so I ended up taking a break. I was gone for, man, when was that? So much time has passed now. I'm starting to lose the story a little bit. Think I paused in like 2016. Yeah, at the beginning of 2016 hit. I just couldn't keep going, and I didn't come back until June. I was like, all right, I'm gonna restart my channel. So that's why I have two channels, because I started with the one that's now Dom. And then about mid 2016, I was like, man, I just want to make NBA videos. I just want to talk about the NBA. And I did that. And like within 2 months, really within a month of starting that channel, it kind of hit. That was at a time where NBA YouTube was just getting like real popular. So Mike Zimba had just started pretty much. So I kind of caught that wave a little bit. It was that was definitely helpful.
There's some feedback on somebody's
Was it mine?
must going
Yeah,
off the.
yeah, it gotta be my fault. Um, so walk us through your love of basketball and where that stems from.
Yeah, so gosh, I got into basketball probably 2002, 2003 now. So coming up 20 years, that feels ridiculous to say. I'm only 26. But yeah, when I was in the third grade, it actually started because of the jerseys, man. Like the NBA marketing tool worked because that's why they sell the jerseys, right? And that's why they want people rocking them. And back then, I had just become obsessed with the gear. There was a kid in my class that had like every jersey. His parents had mad bread because y'all know those are expensive. He had like Tim
Bro,
Duncan, he had Cavaliers jersey, T Mac, which Trace McGrady was in Orlando at the time, so that's what really kind of got me. And he had like the shoes to go with it, so I literally just wanted the gear at that time, and that's what got me into like playing it. I joined the junior Magic at that time, which was like the just little kid team. Basically, we were terrible, but yeah, I started playing it, started watching it. I started playing the games, which was a big thing because everybody that I hung out with played the games as well, and we all played against each other in real life at the park pretty much every day after school. And so I literally just kept up with it, man. And my dad was into it a little bit too. I think because I got into it, my family got into it a little bit more.
mm,
But that was literally it. I would say the first season that I really watched was probably 08, 09. But before that, I had been off and on keeping up since around probably like the '05, the '04, '05 season. So I was still in the cartoons back then. So cartoons was the main thing. But I would hop in the playoffs when I saw like Dwayne Wade and Shaq going against the Pistons, or I saw LeBron going against that crazy finals run. I was just kind of in and out and in and out, and then I just caught on when the Celtics got big, and just been there ever since. And yeah, that's pretty much where it stands.
You're from Orlando?
I am, yeah.
Interesting. Florida is a very interesting state.
It is, man. No, but Orlando's cool though. I'm telling you, it's everything that's like north. That's where all the weirdness comes from. Yeah, like Central Florida is what it is. We don't even get hit by the hurricanes down here. All the memes y'all hear about is like South Florida, and then like whatever's above us that's like attached to Georgia and Alabama and all that. Central Florida is actually pretty cool.
So like the borderline South.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we don't all the stuff you see. I mean, the alligator memes are true. Like you see an alligator everywhere you go down here, but other than that, like it's not as Central Florida. It's not as bad. I can't speak to the rest.
Interesting. What's your ethnicity?
I'm mixed with a couple of things, man. I know my grandfather is from like Trinidad. We got some Indian going on. My father's side is pretty much strictly African American, so it's mostly from my mother's side where it's like we mix with a bunch of things. But yeah, definitely some Trinidad there as well. Trinidadian, however you say it. I don't know.
Well, why did you start YouTube in the first place?
Oh man, back in my senior year of high school, like I had a lot of extra time on my hands because I had what was called early release. Now, in high school, I was a super good student. I had like the grades were crazy. So by the time I got to my senior year, I really didn't need to do much more. Like taking harder classes at that point was just like risk with no reward. So I did early release that year. I was doing dual enrollment with a college too, but I used to get out like midday, so I was playing a ton of 2K. And then me and my best friend, my childhood best friend at that point, I'd known him since like the 7th grade. We would play, we would do basically playoff series against each other. So I would pick a team like the Run TMC Warriors, and he would pick the 01 Sixers, and we would just go at it for like 7-game series, and they were super close and super entertaining. So I remember one day I hit him up. I was like, bro, I want to put our games on YouTube. Like they're that entertaining. I feel like it would be good. I didn't have like any hardware at the time. No, I didn't know how to edit videos. I didn't know how to record videos. Did some research, and I thought it was real complicated to me at that time. But then the PlayStation 4 came out like probably 8 months after I had the desire for that, and the PS4 came with a game recorder in it where you could like chop up videos and stuff like that. So that was the heavy lifting out of the way for me. I never ended up putting our games on YouTube because I graduated high school by that point, and we didn't lose touch, but we stopped playing as much. But I had already, because of that, I had the desire to mess with 2K and YouTube a little bit. So it wasn't really like another YouTuber that inspired me that I remember. Like I liked watching Chris move, but I didn't necessarily start with like, oh, I want to do what Chris Move is doing. I really just wanted to put my friends' games on there, and then once I had the capabilities to actually play 2K for YouTube, I was just like, all right, well, I'm gonna start doing this now. And video editing was super fascinating to me. So I was making like Instagram, not videos at the time. Videos came out a couple of months after I had the capability to do that. But yeah, I started making Instagram 2K videos and stuff like that. It was just super fascinating. So I just kept going with it. And yeah.
There's feedback.
Where's that coming from? All right. You hear it now?
Can you hear it on your end?
On me? No, I don't hear any feedback.
Oh, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm bugging. Where after high school, where did you want to take your life, or what did you want to do?
Man, when I was graduating from high school, it was a bunch of different things because I spent so much of high school just like in the books, basically, that when it was time to start choosing like a life path, that was mad confusing because it was like you go from books to, okay, what do you want the rest of your life to be? So I was looking at things like graphic design because like I said, I ended up getting into videos and like working on computers and whatnot. So that was a path that I thought I could take it. I kind of wanted to be a video game designer at that time. It was just a lot of things with computers, creating stuff on computers. So it's no wonder that I kind of ended up doing YouTube and doing tech stuff or stuff with tech and streams. I didn't at all like exiting high school. That was a different time. So I didn't at all think like, oh, I'm gonna be a YouTuber or anything. I was really just gonna go to college and kind of figure it out, honestly. So yeah, I went to a small private school, and it was mostly a business school. And I was like, okay, well, this is just a part of life where people go and, they have some ideas, but they kind of figure out who they are. They figure out what they want to do. So I didn't have like a one-track thing where this is exactly what I wanted to do. I just got there and I was just like, I was winging it, bro. I was really winging it for a lot of that time through college, and then this came around, and I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm doing this now. So that's really what it was. But yeah, in high school, thinking back to that time, I was definitely looking at a bunch of different jobs because I thought I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna do a specific degree, and I'm gonna get a specific job. That's kind of like all I saw at that time.
Did you? What was your major in college?
It was something called social entrepreneurship. So it was basically business with a conscience. Doing business, but also caring about the planet and people. That's what it was called. It was bottom line was something like triple P, people, planet, profit, I think is what it was. I obviously didn't end up using any of it so far, but yeah, that's what I majored in because I was like, okay, business school, business major, I'll go with it. That's kind of, it wasn't even much deeper than that.
You're a tree hugger.
Not at all. That's the thing. It was just like it was a social entrepreneurship was a new tree hugger. That's fucking hilarious. It was a it was a new major at that time. Like I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I think I started off with computer science, and thing is, I'm terrible at math, so that didn't last like pretty much past the first semester or whatever. Computers were fascinating to me, and then I got into the class, and I was like, yeah, it's not a career for me. This isn't a path for me. And it's still to this day, I believe that because I have a friend who does it, and it looks like he's coding the Matrix when I see what he's working on. So that wasn't gonna happen. But yeah, no, it was just they were like, "Hey, come here about this new major." I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I went there, and I was like, "Oh, good enough." And then I was like, "That was it," because it basically teach you a lot of the same business stuff that I guess you would have learned in another one. They just tried to throw some of the social awareness type stuff in there too. So yeah, that's basically what happened there.
You mentioned that you have a love for basketball. Uh, top five.
Yo, you're cutting in and out. I think you're the feedback.
Yeah, all I heard was top five.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was asking. We know you have a love for basketball. So, what's your favorite team, and who are your top five players that are alive?
Okay, so favorite team is Celtics. Been following them. That's the only team I've ever really followed. Was a Magic fan, I guess, probably when I very first came in, and then they traded T-Mac like right off the bat. So that didn't last, and they ain't been really doing nothing much since. But yeah, Celtics fan. I know you just asking my top five players, dead or alive. You said.
Dead or alive, yeah.
At the top of my head, obviously you got MJ there. Braun's gonna be in the top five. Magic is definitely gonna be in the top five. I think I'm gonna give the last spots to. I think it's gonna be Kareem, and then my personal is, and this is in no particular order. I don't think I've done it in order. And then my last one is gonna be Kobe. I have Kobe a lot higher than a lot of people. Yeah, I got him a lot higher than a lot of people.
Oh no, wait, that's fine. You said Jordan, Magic, LeBron, Kareem, and
Magic,
Kobe.
LeBron, Kareem, Kobe. Yeah, that's probably where I go off the top of my head.
When you first started making videos, did you expect to be this big?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I would definitely say I did because I remember specifically in my first year of making videos, like in 2014, like I had already had it in my head as like that I would be explaining it one day to people, like, oh yeah, I had already known. Like I still remember like having that conversation with myself. But when I was doing it, of course I've learned a lot since then. Like I was doing something really creative at the time. I don't think the execution was there because I didn't have a good handle on the tech, and my mic was trash at that point, and there was a lot of different stuff, but the creativity was there, so I felt like I was going to be creative and different enough to stand out. That's not really how it ended up. That's not the path that it ended up happening with, but it did happen. So yeah, I did expect it. Like I would like to be like humble and say like, oh no, this was all surprise, I never saw it, but like I really did have that conversation with myself in the first year. I still remember it. So like I would be lying if I said I didn't.
What? So at what point did you figure you can be able to do this full time?
Yeah, that was in 2016 when it started growing like a month later. So I told you I had started YouTube, and then I took a break for a while, then I came back in June of 2016. I made a couple of videos. I was just like, I had a real high passion for it when I came back. I made like a mix. I made a LeBron video like 3 times. His legacy was on the line, and he responded. And I think probably like a couple of days later, I noticed that video had jumped to like 40K or something like that, which was astronomical at the time. And what I realized what had happened was it got shouted out by these Facebook pages that were dedicated to LeBron. I don't remember the names of them. I don't know if they're still around, but they had like 1 million followers. It was like 2 pages that both reposted that video, and they were good enough to actually leave the link to the YouTube video as well. So that's where a ton of the traffic came from. And literally because of that, like I just started, like people were just nonstop coming through for a long time. I'd grown to 10K subscribers really fast. I think it was like within like 2 months. And then that was what I had done over the last few years on my other channel. And so yeah, at that time, like as it was growing, and I knew I was gonna keep putting out videos because I was super happy to see it growing, and I was super happy to be making videos. Right there, I already knew. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is it. Like this is you know, the part that I had kind of been imagining for a while. I didn't know how it was gonna happen on the other channel, but then it started to happen there, and I couldn't do it full time yet at that point. Like I couldn't just quit school and go do it, but because of the way it was growing and because of what I was doing, I was like, oh yeah, this will. I still had like a solid year or two left in college at that point, so I was like, yeah, if I just keep doing this, this would be something for me. I don't know if I'll be able to do it full time, but I'll 100% be able to just go ahead and ride this basically.
Got you. Well, what has been your favorite experience thus far?
Um, I would say honestly, it's the new stuff, like being able to travel from it. Because last year, like everything, every extra thing I do, like 2K League or working with the NBA, it all came from YouTube, basically. Even
Mhm.
if it comes from Twitch, it's like, well, Twitch came from YouTube. Like it all started from there. So all of it is part of that experience. And being able to travel to Dallas last year, and do the live commentary was really cool. Then I got to go to the 2K All Star game in New York, and literally the super thing that I did, my favorite thing was interviewing Paul George and Breonna Stewart in December when I got to go to Los Angeles and host that 2K experience with Alexis Morgan. Like that was like, okay, yeah, no, that's crazy. Because that's another thing. Like you asked, did I know I was going to be as big as I am? One thing I knew way before it happened, it was like, oh, well, I'm going to talk to players one day. So if you'll notice on my channel, you don't see a lot of slander. Like I don't say out of pocket stuff about a lot of the players because I know I'm probably going to be face to face with them one day. So I'm not going to call somebody out of their name and go all extra and then have to act like I didn't say that. Then I'm holding a microphone to them one day. I saw that one coming. So,
You really played.
yeah. Yeah, I planned ahead because I was like, yeah, that'll look wild. That I still make a joke every now and then, but I don't ever go too far because it's like I will 100% be standing with them one day. So yeah, being able to in December, being able to go to LA and then sit next to Paul George basically and just kind of kick it. That was a real cool experience from this, all from YouTube, I would say.
So it's safe to say that what you do is,
Said, I think he said pays the bills.
Look, can you recruit? Yeah, what was it? Yeah, he cut out again.
I don't know what's going on.
You're good. You're good.
So it's safe to say that what you do pays the bills.
Yeah, no, it's this. Like this is what I do, and it's not just one thing. So that's what's cool because I'll be honest, like I don't know how even though I expected to be at a certain point, man, when I graduated college in 2018, I wasn't ready to go move on my own yet. I couldn't just I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't making enough just from YouTube by itself to go get a place and go live my own and pay everything. So like imagine graduating and not being at that point, but pretty much I kind of chosen like, hey, this is what I'm doing right now. So it'll be at that point eventually. I'm just gonna save and kind of again wing it pretty much. And then it got to it, and because I've expanded and done so many other things, yeah, like I'm not just depending on YouTube sponsors or YouTube videos. Thank God, because I was miserable, bro. Like for however long I was doing that, where it was just worrying about, yeah, YouTube is super volatile with their ads and with their rule changes and what might happen 3 months from now with the algorithm. It is super volatile, and I hated just having to depend on that for a check. So it's cool to be like, all right, well, there's YouTube and YouTube sponsors, and there's Twitch sponsors, and there's the NBA. And if they get sponsored with something, then I get paid more for them. And then they want me to fly out to events, I get other opportunities because of that. Like it's like 4 different things now where it's like I don't have to sit and stalk my YouTube views, because that was a time where when you start, that's something every YouTuber might go through if they start depending on it. So I would 100% say like never, like YouTube is cool, but never depend on it because it'll probably ruin your passion for it. But yeah, it's a lot of things. I'm real happy about that. That it's a lot of different things that kind of come together and help.
Do
What?
you think waste of time?
Say again?
Do you think that college was a waste of time?
No, I wouldn't call it a waste of time. I would say like because me and my friend were just talking about this the other day. I would say like there's a very one track, at least the way I grew up, it's a very one track motivation throughout your entire life that you kind of told. I guess it depends on how you grew up, but the way I grew up, it's like, okay, from the time you're in elementary school, it's drilled in your head that the only thing you are going to do is college. That is it. You're going to do college and go get a job. And so like they start telling you, even as jokes, they're like, oh yeah, then you get some money. They're like, yeah, you might want to put that in your college fund, which ends up being an unfunny joke later when you realize how expensive college is. You're like, damn, they weren't kidding. That was actually a real thing. But yeah, the middle school and high school, it's just all leading to college at that point. I would say like I would at least have been more open to other things because I wasn't considering anything else except the SAT and what college I was going to get to and what major I was going to get to. Probably been open to other things, but I grew up in a different era too. The internet wasn't quite as big yet. There wasn't as many avenues. So I guess you could kind of blame it on that. I wouldn't say it was a waste of time because like I went and I had a pretty good time. I've met some friends that I've had for life. I have memories from it and experiences from it that are crazy. I would say I have some connections because of it. I would not say for me personally it was a waste of time, but I would say that past a certain point, I would have chosen what I'm doing now over it. Because at a certain point, I told you I was just winging it most of the time I was there. And once this popped up and I saw the rate it was going at, I was like, okay, like college really is in the way, not right now. At this specific point, I could have at least took a gap year, is what I wanted to do. I took a gap year and just worked on what I was doing because one was just piling up debt. Like, fam, I got to buy books over here. I got to pay the food is expensive. There's a lot of outside costs that come with college, and then time as well. I'm like, so I tried to explain that to people to let me take a gap year, and I was like, one is incurring debt, and another I could literally be paying stuff for myself if I could just focus on this every single day. Didn't necessarily get that, and it turned out all right. So past a certain point, I should have definitely not been going anymore because I knew in my heart there was nothing that I was really going to do with what I was learning from college. I wasn't even passionate about my major. But I still wouldn't call it all a waste of time. No, nah. Like I would still have wanted that experience. I would still have wanted to go. There was a lot of good that came out of it.
What's your favorite 2K?
My favorite 2K is probably 2K16. I would still say it's 2K16. Mixing the gameplay, the soundtrack, the graphics, and that's the only 2K that's ever lasted me 2 years. So 2K17 came out. I wasn't a big park guy. I know that's everyone's favorite park year, I believe. But for me, I wasn't big on park. I was big on my league. I liked playing. I liked the actual competence of the AI and the gameplay. And so in 2K16, it was superior to what was going on in 2K17. I think they tried something new and broke it. So I played 2K16 for 2 straight years. I really didn't play 2K17 that much at all. That's the only 2K that's ever been anywhere near capable of doing that. So I would go 16.
What about was it 13? I think that was the first year with Jordan on the cover.
With Jordan on the cover, I know 12 had Jordan, Bird, and Magic. I think you could like pick between. 11 was the first.
There we go.
Yeah, 11. Yeah. I still prefer 16 over 11. I honestly think nostalgia has done 11 like really, really good work because 11 was cool, but I'm trying to remember me and my friend playing it at the time, and I don't remember us thinking like, man, this is just the greatest thing ever. It's one of the greatest.
Time though, you never do at the time.
I guess like it's for sure one of the greatest. I would still rank it behind 16, but I think it automatically gets put as the GOAT because that is the first year that you had Legends that had a fire soundtrack as well. But even when I did my review, some people kind of fact checked me and was like, yo, it was some things you forgot here, like that unblockable spin dunk. There was a spin dunk cheese back then that you couldn't do nothing with. There was some glitches that probably really frustrated me. So yeah, 11 gets its flowers for sure, but I personally have 16 over it.
People used to get frustrated. I used to use OKC, and Westbrook used to spin dunk and one. Oh my God.
Him, Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was notorious for that. Like it was literally an animation. Your guy,
you had
center,
no choice.
He would lock up. He would lock up and just get dunked on. Exactly. So, yeah, that's one thing, and I didn't even remember that. So I'm like, damn, what else don't I remember about that game at the time?
If you're trying to find the next Dom2k, what would you recommend? Like, what would you recommend that he do?
I'll wait until you get back. What are you saying? If I'm trying to find the.
Hold on, give me a second.